I don't know how far I can go down, but if I just play off one market, if I just play off the QQQ right here, then I could be profitable. Hey guys, it's Will. Welcome to the channel. I'm a part-time day trader trying to become a full-time, and if you guys are interested, you guys can join along with me. So I didn't take any trades today. It's a Monday. I did see a setup, but I was kind of not really watching the markets. I was not really thinking that it can hold, but it did hold. So maybe I kind of regretted it, but it is what it is. I did not take any trades, like I said, but you can still learn something from every single day. I'm making weekly reviews on my day trading, but I want to start reviewing my days where I don't take trades, or even if I do take trades, and just break them down more thoroughly and review what my thoughts are and how I still learn things throughout each trading day. So jumping into the charts, I'm looking at the SPY right now. I do look at 4 markets. So I look at the NASDAQ, I look at the ES, and I look at the QQQ, and I look at the SPY. If you can see right here, I do have 4 of these markets right here. All these other markets that you see down here, these are all stocks that I used to watch. I don't watch it anymore, but it is nice to have there. I used to trade those as well. So eventually in the future, I might go back to those stocks. I can still use my break and retest strategy on them, but they do cost a bit more. That's why I don't trade them right now. And it's a lot more work because you have to pair them up with the NASDAQ. You have to pair them up with the market so that you are more correct than wrong. I did that a lot in the past, where I would trade a lot of stocks in the past, but it is more complicated, and that's why I want to simplify my strategy and just focus on the indices and the SPY, the QQQ. And once I started focusing on the SPY and the QQQ only, it made my trading more easier, and I was more consistent with that. I normally go to the NASDAQ first, and I work my way down the ES, the QQQ, the SPY. I got my levels, and they're pretty much the same as the last week, which was Friday. If you guys want to learn how to chart like I do, you guys can watch my supply and demand. It's a pretty quick video. It's about 5 minutes, and you can easily and quickly learn how to chart supply and demand. It, of course, takes time to learn how to chart demand levels and supply levels, but over time you'll learn, and every person does it differently, but this is how I do it. Right now, I'm using the 4-hour chart. This kind of right here is the chart that just happened today. It's the chart that actually opened up when the markets happened. And then this kind of right here is the pre-market, and you can see my zone right here. This is the supply zone right here. So if you see here, this candle right here, this was not there before because that wasn't there when the market opened. It was my supply zone, is because you can see that it's been rejecting the market here. It's also rejecting it here, and then it rejected here. Then once it broke up, it held it. Then later it went back to retest it. It failed again. You can see holds over here, and it failed again here. And then you can see it here that it was trying to hold here, but it fell back down. So that's the first level I see on the NASDAQ. If I see rejections there, then I can play a short there. Or if it breaks, I can play a break and retest. And if it falls down to this demand zone, I can play a break and retest long, or I can wait for the break and retest short. But just because the NASDAQ is breaking down or breaking up, it doesn't mean I take the trade. It's because I look at the other markets. And now we're gonna go to the ES here. And you can see here that I have a zone on the ES. It's not a specific number. It's because you can see here that all these zones are kind of like rejecting, so it's kind of hard to read. So I have a zone there. It's not fully touching a level, so I had to kind of make it a zone. I did have it on 6110 like the previous day, but since last week it rejected right at the 6120, which is the levels that you see right here, where you can see the wicks up here. Wicks up here, you can see rejections up here, rejections up there. That's why I have it as a zone now. The demand zones, I have it as a zone as well, because you can see all over here it's holding up here. Here is a bit choppy, but there's a lot of SMAs here that I have, so that's why I'm putting a zone over there. If it breaks that down, I don't really want to short it because it can break down, but then the SMAs might just hold it, so I don't really want to play shorts on there. That's why I might just play on the other markets. After I chart the ES, I go to the QQQ, the start of the day. We opened up at 525. I can wait for a retest and then long, or I can wait for if it breaks up here and then retest long, or even a breakdown, retest short. That's the trade as well. Then we go to the SPY. The SPY is a bit more clear, or at least the chart looks more clear on the bigger time frames. And then that's why I go to lower time frames and actually see what actually happened, and look at all the charts and then compare. So now I'm gonna go to the 30-minute chart and watch all the 4 markets and have a more clear picture of what I want to see on the day. So I'm gonna take out the VWAP here just so it looks a bit more clear. These are all the indicators I use. I don't use this anymore. This is like the volume indicator, but I use a daily SMA. This is the daily moving average. It's not the regular SMA, so usually it moves every day with the averages, but it's not a simple moving average. It's a daily moving average. If you guys see the gray zones right here, these are the extended hours. So this is what happens after market. This is what happens pre-market. It doesn't look as nice, but I'm pretty used to it and I kind of like it now because I can actually see what happens pre-market, after market. So we can see the previous day, which was the Friday, because since today is Monday, this is the Friday right here. Friday. If you guys haven't watched my last video of how I made 90% shorting the QQQ, you guys can watch that. This is exactly the same day where I shorted it. It broke down this level and it retested, and I took that as a short and made over 90% on it. My strategy is the break and retest, and that's exactly what I did. Last Friday and the pre-market and the extended market, I held these levels. These are the SMAs that I held. I held this demand zones over here, and over here. Then the pre-market or extended market, it broke back above this level. It held these demand zones, it broke back above here, and it broke back above here. I can look for the retest of this level right here, these levels, and look for the longs. That's what I'll be looking for when the market opens. Now going to the 2-minute charts, that's where I trade. This is what happened today. It's only around 12 p.m, but I do not trade past 12 o'clock. I usually trade from 9:30 to 11-ish. There was a potential trade that I could have taken, but I wasn't really paying attention too much, and I kind of missed my entry, but it did end up working. The QQQ broke above the 528 zone, and I can wait for a retest and I can long it. It did the exact same thing on the Nasdaq right here. It retested this level and then it went higher. But how do I take a trade if I also look at the ES and the SPY? First, if I look at the SPY, you can see that these are my zones here. You can see that it's in the middle of the zone, and I don't really like taking trades if it's in the middle of the zone. But if the other market is in the proper zone, then I can trade it off that market. And then you see the ES, it opens up around here, but it retests the zone and it holds here. But I do have a zone around the ES. You can see all of this area right here is a zone. It's a bit of a wide range zone, but I know that it could be a potential zone, and if I just play it off the QQQ over here, I could potentially be right on the longs. And you see the ES, it can come all the way down here, touch these SMAs, and then go back up, but it just held above here. It just held at the 60-70 level. I don't know how far I can go down, but if I just play off one market, if I just play off the QQQ right here, then I could be profitable. But I have to have a proper risk management and have a proper strategy and play off something. So I have a proper set of rules that will always be consistent and work in the long run. Going back to the 30-minute chart, this is why I was thinking that this area could hold and be potential long. You can see here that the SPY is above demand zone. You can see here that the ES was above demand zone and it broke back above and it held. And also the QQQ and the Nasdaq are above demand zones. And since the SPY and ES are above demand zones like this, I'm more likely to take a long if all the markets are above demand zones and it does a break and retest long. Going back to the 2-minute chart, you can see that this area did a break of the QQQ. You can see that it starts doing a retest down here. It starts going down slowly, it retests the level, and then it goes back up. When I was thinking about taking the QQQ, it was about 529, 10, 15 or something. So it was about 60 cents, 70 cents that I was risking. And my last video and my last trades, I did risk about that much, but I was kind of hesitating. Kind of took longs, but I didn't want to risk that much again. Why I was thinking I could risk that amount is because you can see here the Nasdaq started wicking off this supply zone that turned into the demand zone. You can see that I wicked off right there, and I could have just take the trade, but I kind of wasn't really watching the markets too much, and then I just missed it. And you can see here that it slowly goes up to the 531 on the QQQ, which is the next supply zone, or 531, but it doesn't fully touch it. We don't know why. Maybe it just got back down. And then the next trading day, I can chart it, and maybe I changed my zone to 530 instead of 531. But I had to look at the levels and see if it retests more, and then that's how I changed my levels. Just because I missed the trade of the break here and the retest, which was these levels and a long, doesn't mean that I missed the trade. I did miss that first trade, but you can see that it slowly starts to retest the level again like this, and it holds it. And I could have just taken that long over there, and maybe it go back up to the 530, and I could have taken that for a 2-to-1. But I don't trade at this time, and that's okay. I just gotta wait for the next setup, and hopefully it's a good setup. That was my trading recap today. Did not take any trades. It had a valid setup today. We will see if I take any other trades this week. And yeah, that's about it. Hopefully you guys learned something about supply and demand, learn more about my strategy, and maybe it can help you guys. And what I like to say is, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Keep staying consistent, keep staying disciplined, and let's just get 1% better every day. And I'll see you in the next one.